Hello, everyone. Welcome back. If you are listening to this on Apple iTunes or Spotify, you are listening to the hashtag Grounded in Glam, Modern Mystics and Motherhood podcast. And if you are watching this on YouTube, you are watching my YouTube, and I am Erin, the Urban Mermaid. I am a psychic medium. I am a mother, writer. I'm a fifth dimensional soul guide. I am a spiritual business coach. I am an esoteric healer. And I am the creator of the Grounded and Glam series, in which I guide my fellow empaths and lightworkers on their spiritual and personal development journeys. I channel my gifts through astrology. I do birth charts and the tarot. So if you are watching or listening, yes, welcome back. This is the official launch of season 2 of my podcast. Yay! I'm very excited. So I'm kicking season 2 off with a little bit of a mini series, which I'm calling Raising Your Vibration with Fashion and Art. So this is a topic, it's dear to me, but it's something that's kind of strange in the spiritual world. So let me begin at the beginning with my own story. So I was born and raised in New York City. And so I grew up thinking I was going to be the next Carrie Bradshaw, because every other girl my age did too. And I always loved fashion. I always, was always shopping. And then I moved to California, and fashion was a lot. In San Diego, it's not as important, we'll put it that way, but it's still always something that I loved and I never stopped loving. I used to buy Vogue magazines at the terminal in Grand Central, where I worked, the $10 Vogues from the UK, and In Style. That was the other one I did too, because I just loved reading those things. I always felt like Europe was ahead of us anyway, and those were the people I would emulate. And then, I got to California, and San Diego is much more relaxed, much more of a beachy town. So I never really felt like I quite fit in that aspect of it. So I just bring my own flavor wherever I go, So when I began my spiritual journey, motherhood definitely made fashion and looking cute take a big fucking backseat. We'll talk about that. Humble pie, as I like to say. And so I got very disconnected from it there. And then my spiritual journey was weird, because at first I felt so detached from everything, and like, you can't be spiritual and want stuff and be fashionable too. And that's actually not true. So what I've learned is that things like clothes, shoes, art, whatever it is, all attach a vibration to it. So if it makes you feel good, it's a good thing, right? But you have to watch this fleeting feeling of buying things for happiness, because I used to do that a lot. I was like the biggest victim of that, buying things because you think it would make you happy, and that feeling is very fleeting. So what I've learned is to be more mindful with my purchases and truly get stuff that is a vibrational match to me. So I am going to get into our guest shortly. She will be on. If you're watching on the YouTube, as you can see, she's not on yet. I just wanted to do the intro first, and she will be on momentarily. Okay, everyone. So I'm really happy to welcome my first guest on season 2 of my podcast. And in my Raising Your Vibration with Fashion and Art segment, this is Jenny Jackson. She is the founder of a clothing boutique called Abnordin. I met Jenny where I meet everybody else, on Instagram. And we connected through some mom friends that we know. I'm a huge fan of her store. I love Jenny. She's really super cool and super spiritual, and she has a great story to tell herself. So I'm going to start out, Jenny. I want to ask you a couple icebreaker questions just for everyone to get to know you. So first, what is your sun, moon, and rising sign?
Okay, so I'm actually very new to all of like knowing this stuff about Western astrology and about me and where I fit into it. I mean, except for like the very superficial, like, I knew I was Taurus.
Yeah.
But I have Taurus sun, a Libra moon, and a rising Leo.
Yeah, awesome. Did you study Vedic previously or?
A little bit. So
Okay.
I spent a lot of time in the yoga philosophy world, and I have spent more time with the Vedic.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me if I read Vedic, and it's my understanding that it's 26 degrees back from what it is, what you have now. I don't read. I'm a dumb American. I read the Western, but I get asked that a lot.
No, I mean, I really actually don't even, there's so many things you can like go down the rabbit hole on.
Oh, yeah.
Like you have to pick one and like to go deep. Or I had some teachers kind of early on in my spiritual journey, or not, or maybe in the middle of my spiritual journey as I was going deeper, tell me that. And I was like, okay, so that like I don't get overwhelmed by all the things which we tend to do. So.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, so much. Okay. So do you have a favorite crystal?
Okay, so I love rose quartz. It's so healing. It's so calming. It's so full of love. And so that is easy my favorite crystal. Easy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's an OG fave of mine too. Yeah. Do you work with any like tarot or oracle decks or anything like that?
So I don't have any tarot decks, but I do keep the angel cards on my altar, and I keep them wrapped up in this old vintage scarf from my back in my vintage boutique design. I was like I was an upcycler actually. I was hired to design upcycling for this vintage boutique in college. Anyway, all these beautiful fabrics always came in to the store and like into the back after they would get washed, and I would just like go through all of them like oh my God, just beautiful. And they were gonna like go to the trash or get cut up or whatever, and sometimes I just couldn't let them get cut.
Yeah, like, don't do it.
I have this one scarf that I like saved from the trash or whatever during that job, and I use that to wrap up my angel cards. And sometimes I reference them when I need a little extra like love, or I have a deep question, or just want a little extra clarity.
Yeah, I love that. I use angel cards with the boys. I bought them their own deck because I'm a little crazy about them touching my stuff, which is clearly obvious if you're a mom. So
they will destroy it.
Yeah, they will destroy
or not keep it sacred. I mean, they need to play and explore.
Yeah, and that's why I got it for them. It's something for them to play with, and I like it because it teaches them. It says words like devotion, rest, beauty, play, and that's like not stuff that they would learn in an institution, I mean, like school, or even like Bryson's therapists come over, they're teaching him, to read this and do that. And this, I feel like this stuff just kind of teaches them something different.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to hear all about your, so you have a fashion journey, and you have a spiritual journey, you have a business journey, and a motherhood journey, and they're all somewhat intertwined, right?
100%.
Awesome. So I want to hear about all these journeys.
Okay, let's see how we can link them all together, which is like my favorite thing of all. Thank you for having me and offering me the chance to talk about it, because I mean, honestly, I don't get the avenue often to do that.
Right.
And so I've always been like I was always like a spiritual little girl, and my mom took me to church, but I was kind of like, whatever, I did everything though in the church, and I learned to sing there, and I did plays and musicals, and I was hyper involved until I was hyper anti. And so, which is like, tends to be sort of, I see that thread with the people that I get together with in spiritual circles, is like, we're very like, we're intense, like, we're kind of like, we want it all, like we want to really, and so that's how I always was. And so that brought me through, in my early years into like, to discover like this deep understanding of love, and that it was love that was the thread that was like, that Jesus was teaching, and that was what was going to carry me through my own path to like whatever it was ahead.
Right.
And just to get me through each
Mm-hmm.
day. And no matter what, I always had that like place where I could tap into that deep well of love.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, how do I link them all? I always wanted to move to New York. When I was a little girl in the 6th grade, my mom took me to New York City.
Mm-hmm.
We had the best time. We
Mm-hmm.
stayed right on Central Park and I was obsessed. I was in love with it. It was like, oh my God, I have to be here. I know I will live here. And, you know, so many people also have a similar experience.
Yeah.
That city has such a deep, like, vibration.
It's something else. It's almost indescribable. I feel like unless you've been there, you know, it's hard to just explain to people.
Yeah. And some people come there and they're like, they are repelled by it. You know, it's like, because it's so intense. It's either like you're so into it or you're so repelled by
especially
it.
If it's cold.
Yeah. Well, New Yorkers also have a interesting relationship to the weather. Yeah. You know, you are a New Yorker. So I knew that. So that like clicked in my mind and I was always sort of wanting to come back to that. So I went to college. My father was like, you're not going to FIT. I wanted to go to FIT. It's like, no way. That's too far away. Like you can go to UT, you got in. So I went to University of Texas, which was also a very important part of my journey because when I moved to Austin has like a really deep vibration that was like, wow, this actually exists in the world. My mind was blown. I learned, I was able to like really get into the healthy food movement. Austin was like the birthplace of the food co-op.
Really?
So, yeah. So
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Yeah. And it was like so groovy. It was just like, oh, I could eat healthy and feel good. Yeah. And like, really like this, like that was an important part. You know, for peace.
It reminds me of like Berkeley, what you're describing up in NorCal.
Oh, it's very much, that's what I hear. I mean, I haven't spent any time in Berkeley, but I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
My friends used to ask me, they're like, when are you going to move to Berkeley and like live up in the trees?
Right.
Like, sounds amazing. Love it. So never made it there. I started taking yoga classes in college there, and I started at like Bikram, and it was like all in, it was super like heated. But when I walked out of those classes, I was just like, I was floating in the air, and like, you know, and it wasn't like, you know, I used to also I did a lot of drugs as a young person. And so I was like, this was like a sustainable like state, you know, of like walking on cloud 9 as opposed to like drinking or smoking a joint or like eating mushrooms or something like that, which was not sustainable. Like, and I was also getting myself into trouble on the flip side of that. Like a lot of trouble. But anyway, so I finally got myself to New York for my internship and in a fashion job. But it was never what I had sort of hoped for. You know, we were in college. I think we're the same age. So we were in college during like the Sex and the City era where we were all like, you know.
Yeah. When you listen to the intro to this, I mentioned that.
Oh, too funny.
Because that's how I grew up. I grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up in New York City. So I watched, you know, Sex and the City. Every girl our age who lived in New York thought that they were Carrie Bradshaw. I don't care who you were. That's who you thought you were. And then I went to school. I majored in English. I don't know what the hell I thought I was doing. Well, I thought I was going to go work for Vogue like Carrie did.
Oh, yeah.
But no one tells you that that's not really real.
Oh, I know. We all had like, those
dreams. Yeah.
I mean, it was a beautiful story. It was a fun, engaging, it was a complex story. It was like it was thrilling, you know, it was like New York City, about it.
Did you end up staying in New York then, or you went back?
I was in and out of New York a lot in those first like 5 to 10 years of living in the city. So I went and I did a few different internships, and one was in Brooklyn where I like met like all my best friends. And then I went to work for a corporate job where I didn't make any friends in that first internship.
I can't imagine you even in a corporate job.
From like, I was like producing fashion shows and like doing the whole line and like, you know, and picking up everything in the garment district to like get produced for the fashion shows, you know, and all of that. And to going to work for Lacoste, which was very buttoned up, which was very conservative. It was very corporate.
Right.
It was fine, you know, but there wasn't a lot of life to it.
Gotcha.
So, and at the same time, I had a bunch of personal stuff I went through, and I was partying, and I was getting into trouble. But anyway, so I got a job offer after that at Calvin Klein. Took me back to Houston unexpectedly. Went back to Houston for a little while, then came back to New York. Anyway, long story short, that next job wasn't really great. It was a great opportunity for me. I was like the merchandising manager for all these big accounts for Calvin, and but it ran me into the dirt. And I remember just like being I would sit or stand. I didn't have a desk. I was literally, it was like pre-iPhone, but like I did everything on my BlackBerry. So my office was a walking BlackBerry.
Right.
And so I would go through the different departments, and I would just be on my BlackBerry writing up all of the reports and everything. Precursor to motherhood, actually, where I'm doing everything on my phone as I'm walking around.
So it taught you something, right?
Yeah, totally. It did prep me for this, and to be grateful for that time. But I would get there on my BlackBerry, or actually I did have
BlackBerry
to do my iPhone like for work, but I would write like out business ideas and stuff on my phone, like at the back of the work or on my way home on the subway after work, because I would get these inspirations, and I would just be looking out at the floors, and I would be thinking about how New York fashion is so corporate. It's not very creative. It's very like profit driven first. And I also studied in Paris for a little bit of time. And in contrast to Paris, it was like, you know, Paris is all about the creator. You know, there's artists all on the streets all the time. It's it's a lot more from the heart, where like New York is a lot more from the brain, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was like, oh, like New York is missing a piece, and Paris has this like, you know, there's no perfect place in the world, but Paris has this thing that we're always seeking here in New York that we just are missing the note on.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like New York is the divine masculine. It's the doer. It's the go-getter. It's you know, the powerhouse, the make moves. And Paris seems like it, or France seems like it's the divine feminine, where it's the more artsy, flowy, creative, and there needs to be a merging of the two.
Right. And I was like, being young and knowing everything, I was like, how can the two not both exist? Like they should. Like, why I'm gonna have to do that kind of
nice.
Like, I think I can actually take that whole thing on. I really did think so.
Yeah.
But okay, whatever. My chunk of the pie, right? I knew that there would be a chunk of the pie for me to take on. But I wasn't quite sure. But I was also very like interested in this idea of indigenous textiles and natural dyes. And like at that time, when it was 2008, before the financial crash,
yeah,
I was there wasn't a lot to tap into to like study that, but I was always looking for it. And I was like, we got to bring it back. Like, it's got to come back. But what I do know about these ideas, like any business idea, any creative idea, is that once an idea is out there, either I might not have created that idea, like the Jung theory, right, of the archetypal, that theory is out there and anyone can tap into it. So maybe I was creating it, or maybe I was tapping into the thought that was already out there. But anyway, once it's out there, it starts to percolate, and it starts to grow. And so every time I've ever, and anyone can probably attest to this, when you come up with a business idea, if you don't do it, if you wait long enough, you're going to see someone else does it. And it doesn't mean that it was like your idea first or only or whatever. I mean, that thought exists in,
it's the collective unconscious. We're all in like, a bubble is an okay example, but and then you're like this one person in the middle, and if you're tapped in, you could be tapped into everything, but you have to understand that other people are tapped in too.
Exactly. So so it's, of course, I'm not surprised that the momentum picked up so much in sustainable fashion, but
Right.
at that time it was like, it was just percolating for a lot of people.
I could imagine. Yeah. Cause I'm remembering back like 2008 was, that's, I did 5 years in college. That was my last year. So yeah, I couldn't be able to tell you anything about sustainable fashion. And I, believe me, spent enough time in the city and downtown Brooklyn shopping my little ass off. So
right, and I did too. And it was like every weekend, it was like, okay, let's hop into the city. Gotta go get some stuff, or gotta go to Soho and check out the shops, or like whatever. Like that's what we did for fun.
Even if I didn't have money, I would just go there on Saturdays if I wasn't working, and I would just like walk down Broadway and just like catch a vibe. You know, I didn't have that verbiage then, but I just loved it so much. Or I'd go with like a girlfriend and grab a cup of coffee. There was, what was that place around the block from Bloomingdale's? It was like it was a healthier place, like Spring Street Cafe or something like that.
I don't know, but I did work some in Bloomingdale, so I spent a lot of time over.
Oh, really? Oh my God, we probably crossed paths. My girlfriend worked there and she used to be the plug. She hooked me up so much.
Nice. Yeah, there's awesome. Yeah. I was actually I just had a memory back to those days, like on the weekends. And, you know, you probably have seen from me and from a lot of your friends talking about Miramay Swim, and we're doing like the collab with Melinda. And Melinda was one of the first people I met when I moved to Brooklyn.
Okay.
Or to the city, actually. We interned together in Brooklyn. And, but we would like, I just have this memory. We would go, you know, to whatever, Soho, and try on clothes and, you know, then like go get Bloody Marys or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we would unroll.
There was that French Culinary Institute on the corner. And they had a little restaurant called Lyocell. And it was a fixed menu because it was the students who would do the cooking there. But it was so good. It was so good. I'll never forget it. I remember looking it up a couple of years ago, and the restaurant part closed down. I don't think the school did. It was on the corner where Bloomingdale's was on Broadway. It was the very corner. Up
there.
Yeah.
Oh, on Broadway, Soho, like Bloomingdale's. Anyway.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. No, those were good times, but that was a different time. Like,
now
it's like I don't find that fulfilling like I once did.
No, me neither.
And maybe if I was in my mid-20s, I might still find that, but it's still different.
Times are so different now, and I mean everything has changed since then. There was no Instagram then, you know. Facebook was just really popping off to start with, you know. People were just getting iPhones, you know. It was.
I used to get Netflix like in the mail still.
Yeah. There was no Uber. Oh my God, no Uber. Nothing. So different.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I got run into the ground. I just, at the end of like when was it? 2009. Oh, I had a bad breakup. It was like really, really one of the doozy. And I just was like, I found a meditation class that was on like 30, where over there by the Whole Foods in Chelsea. And I started going to this meditation class, and it started with like intro to meditation. And it was in this like old school brownstone that the like yoga organization had bought back in the 60s. And they still had all their yoga classes there, and it was like very traditional, and there was no like Lululemon happening inside.
No.
No, it was like baggy clothes and monks, and I was like, what is going on here? Like this building is like going counter rotational to the rest of the city. Like, what is happening? But it was like an instant, like the healing that started happening from those meditation classes was like drastic. Like each day, each practice, everything was just like clearing very quickly. And from the time that I started that class, I think it was December of whatever that year, 2008. By September 2009, I had quit my job, and I was on my way up to Woodburn, New York, to the Shivananda Yoga Ranch to do a yoga training course. And I was, this is it. I don't know what's happening. I mean, I was like, I'm very much trusting that this is the right move before I can like, I need to do some work on myself before I can actually move forward in my life.
That's very profound of you at a very young age, because I didn't hit that till like 30.
It was like, I mean, I was going really hard,
yeah.
You know, and thankfully I think the financial crisis helped, but like,
yeah.
I mean, the drugs and the lifestyle were just like it was not going well.
Right.
I was not achieving my dreams.
Right.
And but I knew I wanted to start a company, and I knew I wanted it to be some kind of fashion company that was like sustainable, that was like maybe recycled materials. Like there was still so much new there that I felt like the possibilities, I wasn't quite clear on what it was, and but the possibilities were like ahead. And so I did that course. And then when I was done with the course, I realized I still had a whole lot of work to do on myself. So that course turned into a year. I ended up staying there for a year. And then I was going to do my MBA after it was over. When I was almost ready to leave, I also met my husband there in that time.
Was he there at the yoga retreat also?
Yeah, he came to like help with the garden, but he was also like had a guru and had been like on this like spiritual path for quite some time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's a whole other story. But I just knew before I met him, when I saw his picture, I was like, oh, I'm gonna marry that guy. I had been very quiet. He's right here right now. He's laughing.
Hi.
It wasn't like, I don't know, like things were just very clear in that moment. And
that's soulmate love.
Not always that clear. Like when you have that kind of clarity in one moment, it's like, I didn't believe it, but it was like, okay, like noted.
Right. It was like the voice in your head was telling you, but you're like,
I was like, are you lying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's weird. But I'm learning, you know, I still learn to like, because sometimes things aren't, the answers aren't right there, you know, and like you think that everything is conspiring a certain way, and then the universe is like, that was actually a decoy.
Yeah, that was your test. The universe always tests us before it gives us something wonderful, or I always say it tests us before we get something we want or something greater.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've been actually like trying to like think on that topic a little bit the last couple of days, but when I was ready, I was like, I was going to go back to New York to Baruch for my MBA, but I like ordered this like traditional Scottish dyes book or something. And I got the natural dyes book, and I would tell everyone, they're like, what do you want to do? Cause like, of course, what are you going to do when you leave? And I was like, I'm going to have a business around natural dyes. And they're like, what about natural death? Like what? This one sweet woman who's a really dear friend was like, okay, well, that's a really important work. And I was like, yeah, it is. And then I didn't realize talking about helping people naturally die. And I was like, oh
yeah, I'm the holistic hospice.
Like, actually, that's not my area. Nope.
I love it.
But so I was like, so we have to figure out, I was like, so we're going to New Mexico, and we are going to go up to a place where there's a lot of artisans who actually do this kind of stuff. Because I was like, to learn about what's going on here locally in the US, like what's to learn from it and to maybe use it or whatever. I didn't really know, but it turned out it was just purely like a fun educational experience. We'll see if that all comes back together full circle someday. But
because New Mexico is quite spiritual. There's a lot of vortexes there.
Yeah, it was. So we went to the Yogi Bhajan's ashram, which is like, he's like the guru of Kundalini yoga in the US, right?
Right.
Big community there of the Kundalini yogis. And we went to like the morning meditation one day, and it was like one of their famous, there's a famous singer who is Snadam Kaur, and she was like leading the morning like songs. and Steve and I were like, wait, that's not him.
Oh yeah, I think, does she sing oh, I'm not gonna sing it, but I don't know why it's not coming. Yeah, I'll spare everyone that.
Well, I mean, it's like we had lived in an ashram for a year, so these were like the songs playing in our.
I actually listened to a lot of that stuff. I did a lot. I've done yoga on and off for probably 15 years. I did prenatal with my kids. I've done Kundalini. It's really, I was gonna get certified to do my get yoga license myself, and then I found out I was pregnant with Christian, and I was like, damn. Okay, I guess not, this isn't the right time to do it. And it's always something I wanted to go back and do. And I definitely think I probably will a little bit later, because yoga is really brings me a lot of peace, like not a lot of stuff does. And even for someone like me, just sitting and meditating is very hard, whereas I find yoga to be a full body meditation experience. So I listen to tons of that music, and I always sing it to my boys.
He sings that like
let the long time sun.
Oh yes, let the long time sun.
Yeah, that's like my favorite song, like in life. I love that song.
Well, that's their mantra to open and close.
Yeah, wow.
But she sings definitely the end of every class. They sing the whole thing.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's like to me, it's the most moving song. It'll bring me to tears.
Really, I know it's so same. I mean, I've definitely had some like emotional experiences singing it.
Yeah, well, a lot of that stuff. Have you ever done like yoga nidra or anything like that?
Yeah, as it relates to.
Yeah, and like Kundalini gets pretty profound when you're doing it. You know, it doesn't surprise me if you have like, you know, the emotional outburst, or people talk about having, you know, Kundalini awakenings, and like, you know, they'll be in their practice, and they'll be, you know, really regular about it, and you know, they go to sleep at night and their body just starts freaking out, and that's like the Kundalini waking up and literally activating their chakras, and the shakti at the bottom of the base and your root chakra. It starts to wake up, and it literally wakes up your whole body.
I feel like you really should do a training course, especially because you do so much work with the chakras, because I mean, when you do those classes, they're basically like these like ancient approaches at clearing the chakras.
Right, which is already my thing. I'm actually, this month I'm going for, have you ever heard of theta healing?
I have heard of it, yes.
Yeah, so
some people teach it at the ashram.
Yeah,
but I have heard of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting certified in this coming May. I'm really excited. I had wanted to do it last year, and the woman who taught it had to cancel it because of obviously everything that went on, and she didn't bring it back till now, and she was only offering it once, and I was like, gotta get on it, because I'm just like, I love this sort of stuff so much. That's why I know I'll eventually go back and do the yoga thing, because it's always something that spoke to me. I used to go in the city. So I worked for a long time in the Helmsley building on 42nd and Park, right when you come out of, I'm sorry, 45th or 46th and Park, that's what it is. When you come out of Grand Central and you leave out the MetLife building, that's where I worked. And so the closest yoga studio, and I would come all the way from Brooklyn, which I live in buttfuck of Brooklyn, on the total other side, like fucking Queens, Rockaway.
Marine Park? No.
What?
Did you grow up in Marine Park? Is that where you're from?
I'm next neighborhood over, Mill Basin. Exactly there. I never say it because nobody ever knows what the F I'm talking about. So by Kings Plaza is where I grew up, just in a little bit more. So I would take the train even on Saturdays to make it to an 8 o'clock class over on.
You have to leave like an hour and a half.
Oh, it was ridiculous, but I was so determined. It was 33rd and like 1st, and it was called Mango Yoga, and I took mat Pilates, and they had just the best classes. So I would go after work, and then I would just leave there. I mean, when you're 22, 23 and you don't have anything else to do but go to work, you can do stuff like that. You could go to a yoga class after and get home at like 7:30 and wake up at 6 to get up the next day. It just works like that.
Yep. Amazing. how that I also think about that often, how like I have to squeeze everything into like these like 2-hour segments now.
Everything's time
or 15 minutes.
yeah, everything is time blocked, everything, even like getting ready. My partner Ryan said to me like the other day something about my makeup, and he was like, I like when you used to do whatever he said, and I'm like, yeah, well, I used to have 2 hours to put my makeup on. I have about
I don't even have time. I put on makeup for tonight. Not but like I don't usually, I'm like, that is 5 minutes I could have to do XYZ.
Yeah.
Sleep, go to the bathroom by myself. I don't know, whatever. Like
something, get something out of my way that I don't have to do later. Yeah. On the daily, definitely not. Unless I'm filming or teaching a class, which if it's a class of like my regular people, I'm like, go real easy.
Exactly. Well, I actually developed all these like allergies to a lot of things, like my shoes, like speaking of fashion and related to spirituality, like there was a time towards the end of that period, that transition period, when I left corporate fashion and went to the ashram, where I used to wear rings on every finger, and like my fingers started repelling.
That's an ascension symptom. Like when you start to ascend, your body starts rejecting certain things.
Yeah, well, and my feet, I couldn't wear shoes that were like any kind of, I can only wear like wedges, platforms, like that's the most like fancy schmancy I can get. I found out from a podiatrist that I have like an extra metatarsal or something like that. So like I get these like sharp pains in my feet, so I can't wear like fashionable shoes. I mean, I work around these things, okay? But find what works for me.
Right.
But the jewelry, I couldn't wear jewelry on every finger, and then I can't wear makeup on my eyes. I have to be very, very careful about what I put on my body, because my eyes flare up. Almost like for half of 2019, when I had started Abnordin and I was like going on lots of like meetings and stuff like that, PR stuff, and I was wearing makeup, I have pictures of my eyes are just like bright red with dots everywhere.
Did you try switching out to like more natural brands? Did that make a difference?
Yeah. I mean, no, yes and no. Now I've kind of gotten it under control. I had to kind of like completely overhaul everything. Like it turns out it was like a hairspray that I was using that was like a sea shine.
That's the 3D answer. My answer
well, that was the one thing. That was the one thing.
I noticed that when we go on like our ascension path, and like whether we resolve a karmic debt, so we've leveled up, or we've learned a lesson, so we leveled up, I noticed that our body starts reacting to stuff. I actually just had this conversation with a friend of mine today. So I truly feel like those issues that came out of nowhere were part of your level up on your journey. Your body saying, okay, we can't do this anymore because we're in this state now.
Right. I mean, I 100% understand that. And I knew that so whenever these things come up, it's like, the rings was obvious. Like I had to shed the rings, like just let them go. Like you don't need to wear that jade rock on your finger to like get to keep your whatever intentions or whatever. It was like, cause it's like funny things like that. But I had to go through this journey of like slowing down, of not like pushing myself too hard. Like, I mean, it took a lot of time in 2020 even to figure out how to just chill the fuck out. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about actually Abnordin. So I just can't stand because my desk is weird, but I just want to show everyone that I am wearing, and I love Jenny's boutique so much. This is the Pristina dress. It's soft like butter. They wash beautifully. I have quite a few of her. I bought dresses. I bought a bunch of, because you have children's clothes, you have babies' clothes. I gifted tons of my friends her stuff. So I'm really into the whole sustainable fashion thing. I've always, like when I lived in Brooklyn, it was really easy to be like a thrift shopper or whatever, because if you went down to like downtown or you went to Williamsburg, those were like the first Beacon's closets. And I believe like Buffalo Exchange was down there. And when I moved to San Diego and I lived totally on like my own and I was responsible for myself, same thing. I would like shop at like more Buffalo Exchange and stuff because I still wanted like cool or certain things and quality things. Cause that's the other thing out here is the first like 5 or 6 years I moved here, there was like a lot of the little cheapy boutiques. And it was one of those situations, like talk about low vibrational, you buy something for like $20 and it would fall apart in the wash the next time you wore it. And like, that is so the opposite of sustainable. And I can't tell you how many times I wasted money on that. But I have been a Poshmark shopper for a really long time and a seller. So I like to shop the secondhand stuff. I do have a thing about cleansing it before I wear it, not just washing it, but like Palo Santoing it just to make sure nobody's energy attaches to me because I do have that problem. So I love Jenny's stuff because it is all sustainable and your stuff is chemical free, right?
Yes, it's all well, it's Oecotex. I say Oecotex, but I was listening to the other day. Oecotex standard 100 certified, which means it's free of all of the of 300 common toxic chemicals that are found in products.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing.
Update it.
Right.
They're very fastidious. So
right.
Yeah. So it's non-toxic.
So how did this whole thing come to fruition? How did you put it together? Because I followed your journey because I think right when you launched Abnordin is when we started following each other and becoming friendly. So how did this all kind of come together for you?
So as I was saying a little bit before hinting to, I was like really knew I wanted to start something. I didn't know when, and it was just like one thing led to another in life. And when I finished business school, my husband wanted to be a doctor. And I was like, you are going to be a doctor. This is what you did. So
you did end up going to Baruch for your business school?
Yeah, so I went to Baruch for my MBA.
Baruch is hard.
It was amazing. I loved it. It was like, I loved business school. Like,
wow,
as much as I loved yoga. Like,
oh my goodness.
Just as much as I loved fashion. Like, I just loved it. And it's incredible. Business, I find, is like a creative outlet for me. It's where I can, like put together all these ideas, work them out, go through I
understand that. I don't have any formal training, but
maybe you would love it. So I did that. But Steve got into medical school in Dominica at Ross. And I said, we're going. Like, I just finished my MBA. Like, I would be crazy to not say, you're moving to a Caribbean island and I'm going with you, kind of thing. So like, that is something we're not going to get. Who knows if we get that opportunity.
You probably never would.
Or would I be able to take it at any other time?
Right.
So turns out lots of families do take that opportunity during their life, but I didn't. Anyway, for me, this was the right time. So we went, and then, so I was, put this on the back burner. I had yoga. I could teach yoga. I did teach a recycling class to the kids' school, and we did a recycled fashion show.
That's so cute.
It was so fun because I got to do stuff like that. I taught dance when I was there. I also had a marketing job and whatever. I took all the jobs I could get.
Right.
I was there because we were in a foreign country and, anyway. I was young and could do that, or not young, but free of children, I guess.
There you go.
And so I put it on the side. Then I got pregnant, like the trip right before we moved back to the States.
Okay.
So we got to Florida. We were in Florida for a small period of time. I found out I was pregnant. So then that became that was the journey. And I went through this whole, like, how to have the baby, and then decided to have a home birth. And it's
exciting. And that's amazing.
Yeah. So that was a whole journey, and then like a rite of passage. And then for all of us who become mothers. And but as I had my first baby and we moved back to Brooklyn in that time. Steve got placed in Brooklyn, and I had this baby and I'm from Texas originally. So the weather is very different and you have to spend a lot of time outside in New York. Like, you walk to the subway, you walk everywhere you go.
I always wondered, because I grew up seeing women just like lugging their kids. And then when I got pregnant with Bryson, and I would see like my city friends who didn't have cars and stuff, and they'd have like these kids in these snowsuits, and my kid wouldn't even keep a sock on. I'm like,
exactly, like it's a puzzle. And so like getting on it, the subways aren't exactly accessible, so
no.
Like
No, I learned that visiting.
I was like, I can't have like an upper baby like going down the steps of, there's no elevator on my stop. Like,
right. I know, because whenever I would visit, the difference was when I lived in New York, I always had a place to go and a time to be there. Like you had to be at work at 8:30, right? So I knew what I was doing. The plus side is when I had Bryson, or I went with Bryson and Christian, I literally would wear Christian and just push Bryson. But it's funny because I was in Williamsburg and I had to get off on the L on, I want to say North 6th or something. And they're only 2 years ago were they putting the elevator in, and I was like, shit. But I will say, so many kind souls helped me that people get, New Yorkers get such a bad reputation. Every time I've gone with my kids, and I must really look like a fucking hot mess with them, and I am, but people are like, I'll hold this door for you, please let me help you.
Well, I don't think I've ever walked up or down a stairs with a stroller where someone hasn't offered to help me. And
incredible.
I carried my kids as much as possible, but then I had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and like I still had to use a stroller. And like, always, I think there was only one time that I didn't get offered help when there was no one around. Like I remember, I was like, I can't believe no one's offering to help me right now.
And people, they're either were super nice, or like one time this guy was just nonchalant and he picked it up, and I was on the other side. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. He was like,
exactly. He's like, I'm doing my civil duty.
Yeah, right. My good deed for the day, miss.
I know. So it had to do with that, having children in the city. I was like, how am I going to dress them? And I needed it to be easy. I still wanted to be mobile, especially with my first kid. I wasn't ready to like give up my like exploring livelihood and my adventure side or whatever. It's different now, but like I was still transitioning from pre-motherhood.
Yeah.
So I was like, I found ways to dress my daughter so that I could like wear her in the baby carrier and wrap her in like a baby carrying coat and like not have to wear all the layers. But anyway, as I was starting to get these layers, I was like, oh, merino wool is so smart. She only has to wear one onesie and then the hat and maybe a layer on top, and it's keeping her warm, it's breathable, it's not too like bulky to get her into the carrier. It's natural, that's cool, I can wash it, that's dope. Like and then I didn't need a lot of it because I could just have a few and I could switch them out. And turns out like long story short, that most of these companies that make the merino wool at that time, it's changed now because a lot of people have entered the market in the last couple of years, but those were mostly Scandinavian companies making these clothes. Also, some Australian companies do. They were smaller in the US. And my sister-in-law and my brother live in Finland. And then I realized that all of those, I started to realize that like everything in their everyday stores in their malls were these fabrics and were these clothes. And I was like, I need a new set of onesies, some leggings, some hats, some neck warmers, some gloves, some whatever. I also like those organic cotton t-shirts that are not an arm and a leg, and they have like really cool like designs on them and all that stuff. So the requests started getting very excessive. But when Bodhi was 16, then I had another kid and whatever. Bodhi was 16 months old. I said, you're going to daycare. Like I am ready to, there's a lot of sustainable fashion stuff happening. There's a lot of organic cotton happening. Like I need to figure out what I'm doing because I want to do this work and I want to do it now.
Yeah.
And I remember being I meditate every night religiously in the same spot, and I remember being like at my altar and just like begging for like my dharma to come to me, because I don't want to just have another job. Like I've taken jobs and I that weren't like me, or I've taken jobs that just
didn't fit, that
like weren't fulfilling.
Well, we have your dharma, I think, is what I call, it's like your higher calling, right? It's what your purpose is.
Exactly. But I know like when you request like dharmic work, like it's not like, yes, it's fulfilling, but it's the hardest fucking kind of work, because you are going to go through the trials and all of that kind of like, you have to go through the dark and to get to the light. Like,
yes, you do.
But I was begging for that. And I was like, you know what, Bodhi, you're 16 months old. We had a great like in-home daycare. Oh, that Oslam, the teacher or the owner, was just like.
Where were you in Brooklyn?
We lived in Windsor Terrace.
Oh, I love that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Love that neighborhood. Tough breakup, right?
Anjali was crying at school drop off the other day going, I miss Brooklyn.
Oh, man.
And I was like, you miss your friend? She was like, I just miss the town. And I was like, she's 5, okay?
God, she sounds like me.
God. And then Bodhi starts copying her. I miss Biko, his like little friend. And I'm just like, oh.
My kids do that too. Whatever Bryson does, my little one is like, I'm like, hey, you don't even feel that way. Stop it.
They don't get it, but I try to tell them what's happening, but they're like, what? No, I'm not copying her.
Yeah.
So I started putting the pieces together and realized I did like some serious like business school style like analysis of the markets and the potentials and all of that, and was like, look, there's something really interesting happening in Scandinavia, and I want to see if some companies would be interested in working with me to enter the US market. And turns out there was interest. I reached out to, like, that's how I founded this company. Was I was basically pitching directly to companies that were based in Finland and Sweden and Denmark to enter the market with me. Like, I would be their partner. I would help them bridge that, like, that be the bridge.
Right.
And that was working. And I still have some very strong partnerships from that initial, sketch.
Okay.
But quickly it turned into me having the marketplace online, because if I was going to help them, I needed some place to sell them. And going to trade shows, I could already tell was like a die. I walked in, I like the trade shows because it's one place where you can bring a lot of people together, but I could tell that the life was being sucked out of those. Like, I don't know if we'll ever get back to where they were, because consumerism is changing so much, and for the better, but it's really hard to, so here we are right now. I like flowed with it, but so I wanted to help tell their sustainability story, like, in an authentic way. And that's how Abnordin started.
Okay. Does Abnordin have a significant meaning? I've always wanted to ask you that.
Oh, have I not told you that before? Okay. I founded this company with my brother, actually.
Okay.
He came up with the name.
The one in Finland?
Yes.
Okay.
And it means of the north.
Oh.
And but also Norden is the Norse god of commerce.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like, let's have him in our court, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
Because
rad.
So, and when he said that name, because I had like a Word document going, and I was just like typing ideas as they were coming in, and he wrote, he said Abnordin, we were talking on the phone or whatever, and I just like put it at the top of the document and was like, it stuck.
Interesting. That's so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'm actually considering probably it's best to change the name sooner rather than later because he came up with it and we've since parted ways and it was not like an amenable parting. So
Gotcha.
So but it's still, you know, I've become quite like attached to it. And a name is a name when you come into a business. It's like you have days where you love it and days where you wish that it was not.
Well, it's just indicative of the growth, you know, the transformation, the butterfly, that phoenix rising moment. If you weren't growing in your business, that would be a problem, right? But because you're getting bigger, everything's going to get bigger with it. So if you need to rebrand and do a name change, it needs to go with what's happening.
Yeah, and I've known the new name for quite some time, and I just haven't seen the avenue for how I'm going to transition it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's coming.
I'm excited.
Clarity from Erin.
Yeah, sure. That's exciting. And now you have the pop-up shop too in Jersey, right?
Yeah. So when we moved to New Jersey in June, and I was just like, the holidays, I didn't want to like completely miss out on like the potential of holiday like connections with customers. And so I found this retail spot. Like, you know, I was just in Manhattan today. It's like retail is just like shuttering everywhere. So I thought, you know what, let me just like give it obviously it hasn't been, the environment, retail everywhere is shuttering, but right. I got a good deal and was like, let's just, you know, I'm happy to like have this space to work out of and continue to like be able to visualize everything and grow from that.
And keep your home life, I imagine, and, you know, do your work at the shop, because that gets difficult too.
I still have my pile of
right.
But like, yeah, but mostly everything's in the shop. So it's nice to do that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you feel having your shop, what Abnordin stands for, the pieces that you're bringing over, which I want to add, these European countries that you mentioned, I didn't realize how progressive they were with the fabrics and stuff. I knew that those particular Scandinavian countries were really progressive with their foods and their products, like even more than like the other parts of Europe. Because I have a friend who's over there in either Sweden or Norway, I can't remember now. And, you know, they're naturally higher quality stuff, as well as they're much better to their people, it seems. I'm sure their taxes must be through the roof, but like, in terms of like maternity and paternity leave and vacation time, like they seem to be a little bit more for the people. So now that I think about it, it doesn't surprise me that they have the fabrics and stuff going in that direction too. That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's so cool. But yeah. I want to know, in your words, like, tell me about why this is such a high vibe brand and what, you know, a vibration to even Mother Earth. Just want to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've been thinking on that question for the last couple of weeks since we sort of posed the thought.
Yes.
We got together, and it's an interesting journey because when we talk about like clothing and the fashion industry, I mean, we're talking about things, right? And like consuming things, and the more things that we have, like it dilutes what the purity of what those things are. So like, yes, I have a big eye into Finland because I've spent a lot of time there, but they have a huge reverence and a huge pride in design.
Okay.
And design, fashion is a part of that. And they're also very supported by their universities and their governments to innovate new textiles, new whatever, and sustainability is also very important to the people and important to design, and it also, and they're always working on sustainable innovation. So yes, in food and in clothing and in art and architecture, all of that. But anyway, So that dress that you're wearing is made out of lyocell. And lyocell, and I haven't found that particular type of lyocell from any US based vendor.
Okay.
Manufacturer. That dress is made in Portugal, and there are it's a Finnish owned factory based in Portugal. So like,
interesting.
a lot of there's a lot of companies in Finland that do women's and children's both, and they use the same fabrics often. They cut often the same fabrics for both lines.
Okay.
And there's like at least 5 of those companies, and it's not like a huge market. Okay. So 5 companies is like a big market share.
Okay.
That in this one factory that is Finnish owned.
Okay.
I think there's some government portion. There was some government like grants too. To open. So when you got that that dress, it also says like has like a label that says like design from Finland, or it's like a certification, which also ensures the sustainability and the non-toxic and fair trade, because their working regulations are very particular and very humane.
Okay.
So and the lyocell uses less water. It's made from wood pulp fiber. And then it has all these awesome properties like antibacterial, antimicrobial. It's like self-cleaning. I don't know. It's like the holy grail. All the things. Which is the cool thing about sustainable innovations is like, as we're innovating, we're really trying to improve on the lifespan and like the effect of everything new that's being created. Because why create something more that is going to get us further away from like our climate change goals and all, and like those countries in particular are very look, they're not progressive in all areas. I mean, they are in a lot of things, but like when it comes to environmental progress and goals, they are very proactive from like a societal and systemic sort of approach.
Okay.
But okay, so that's what that helped to, and that's why a lot of those companies can have these amazing quality fabrics.
So the whole thing about it is high vibrational because of everything that goes into it and the way they do it. It's also pretty cool, I have to say, that you said that this was a Finnish owned brand, but in Portugal, because it makes me feel like extra fancy to know like it comes from like Portugal.
I love this story. I mean, to me, that's always been a really important part. And also I need to know, like, I feel everything that comes through my brand, I want to know exactly where it's made. And I need to know the process so that I want to know if I can trust it. I've also like brought in more brands that I wasn't able to like sort of fully vet where they came from. And I was kind of like, I can't keep that in my collection because that is not, that's not what I'm doing.
It's not aligned. Well, that's good because I feel like you're what I call like your cosmically aligned client or whatever is a conscious consumer, right? So the more you are well versed in what you have, the better that is.
Yeah, I mean, I also would like to be an educator and an inspirer, basically, for people.
You are. I love your store.
Yeah, no, totally. But I mean, like, I imagine that, because I think like the eco-conscious consumer is also doing a lot of secondhand shopping. And I think that like, I also have like a lot of grannies who, I'm sorry, grandmothers or whatever, my mother's friends. Fine. But like a lot of customers that come into my shop are buying for their daughters and their grandchildren. So these people, they think sustainability is cool. Like they've heard of it. Like,
right.
You know, it's like, it's the words are out, the word is out on the street, but like they might not have bought it before.
Right.
So I also kind of want to convert people. Like, look, this stuff is cool. This stuff is pretty. This is hippy dippy stuff. This is like real, like practical.
Absolutely.
Good. You know, it kind of like, it checks a lot of boxes. And so I want to convert people to, in a way.
Like, I know. I was so excited when I put up in my stories. I was like, wow, I'm influencing so many people. It feels so good.
I'm so grateful for you.
And then so it felt good for me. It must feel even better for you. I had like girls messaging me, this is my Abnordin dress. I'm like, you look so good. Yeah.
I mean, like all of that, like you don't even, I mean, you do know, but like, I cannot even express how like full of gratitude I am for that, like for every single bit of it. And it also fuels me. It keeps me going because there's so many moments that there are like crickets, or there's like, I'm like, when am I going to get another sale? Or when am I going to like my next big break? Or like, you know, and so it's like moments like that happen, they kind of, you know, happen in waves. When that wave is like coming, it's like, it keeps me going.
Yeah. I was, like I said, I mean, I felt good. I was like, man, that's great.
Yeah. But I was also thinking that like, it is just stuff, you know, and like excess stuff can also bring down our vibe. So like, I'm trying to figure out now how to like keep the, what is the flow going? Like, without just bringing in more fashion, like without just bringing in more new items. So I'm working on, and it's always been a part of the plan, but I'm working on the secondhand component and like the community aspect, where people like just facilitating a place where people can swap and people can,
I love it.
You know, that kind of thing. So I'm moving into the strategy on that right now.
Oh, I can't wait for you to do that. I love stuff like that.
No. And then, I mean, also I've got like the mama box that is launching on Sunday. So
tell everyone about that. That's so exciting.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to do some other things other than clothing, because it's like I have a few people who are like, okay, I've bought literally everything from your shop. Like, you don't laugh at me. Like, I'm a walking Abnordin shop. And I'm like, no, thank you. Like, I hail you. Like, you look amazing.
Yes. Work.
But like, you know, like we don't need to always consume new clothes. So, and we don't always need to consume anything, but I just wanted to bring something special for, like, there's always like the celebration about Mother's Day. And I feel like mother is such a big part of my business, not just like me being a mother, but just like the general mother and Mother Earth and Divine Mother is like who I sort of talk to when I speak in private to mother, or when I pray. And so I put together this box. It kind of all came together quickly. Like, it was like, I've been thinking about it. And then suddenly I like got like the idea was like, just do it right now. And so, okay, so I did.
So let's see. And this is it's called the Mama Box, right?
Mama Magic.
Mama Magic. Oh, I love it. So what is in? Oh, very cute.
Bringing it all together.
Right. You are magic.
So what's in it? So it's a box for mothers. I have 10 boxes only.
Okay.
And it's launching on Sunday, so that if anyone wanted to buy it for themselves to honor themselves for Mother's Day, or if they wanted to buy it for someone else, another mother, that they could do that in time. It has this like hand drawn artwork by Marika Paz. She is also a mother, artist, and it's an empty card. So I thought, you know, you could have it and just keep it as artwork, or you could write something to yourself inside of it,
yeah,
or someone special, like, you know, choice is yours. I feel like it's so important in I do a couple of different, yoga is very important to me. I also do this other work called Fourth Way, and it's about living in your spiritual journey, like in the world. And so we talk a lot about impressions and how it's important to have beautiful impressions before us, like candles, flowers, things that remind us of the sacred. And so I did the bracelet because you're wearing this, like this one's quartz. They're all a little bit different, but this one has quartz in it, to like have that, you know, out of the corner of your eye throughout your day. A beautiful impression. Then this is Sunflower Motherhood, which is a company that's in your neck of the woods. It's in San Diego. It's made locally. And she started this company, a mother, of course, She wanted something special. She felt like mothers need something special with their new babies, like that just like is simple and uplifts them. There's all these like cool baby products, but there's not like these like that. She wanted something else in her diaper bag that just was easy and lifted her up.
Yeah.
And so she made this roller, and it has like some, it has affirmation. So it says, mom life can be hectic. When you find yourself feeling anxious or stressed, take a deep breath and apply to the back of the neck, temples, forehead, and relax reflex areas on hands and feet. You are an incredible mama. And so this is the lavender one. I just really liked that one the most.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
She has some different products. And then this shirt, which you saw earlier today.
Yes, I did. I loved it on you.
The mother of all white t-shirts.
Yeah, that's
I met this mom through actually Ashley introduced us, and she mom uptown Ashley, and this company is called Oven Origin. The owner is the founder is Candace, and she's also a sustainable fashion entrepreneur. She also had like a marketplace. She still has it, but then she started this brand, and everything's made in Peru from Pima cotton. And she's very transparent about her supply chain. And there's like, it's fair trade and they give back. And the design is so smart. So it's designed to work for pregnancy, also with the slit,
breastfeeding.
Easily breastfeed, but it also is just like really cute, and it doesn't have to be for any of those things.
Right,
just
right.
Because it's beautiful. And it's
I saw it on you today and I was like, oh, I love it.
2 days in a row, and I was like, I need to take some pictures of the box, so I'll just but you can wear the V-neck, which is like a pretty deep, it's not too deep, but pretty deep V, and it can also be worn crew neck side too. So that's kind of like a difficult thing to achieve, to make something two-sided in a t-shirt. And
that's
design,
impressive. Yeah,
really excellent job. I love this shirt. So when you order the box, you can designate what size you want in the shirt.
Okay, good.
And then I have some like little Palo Santo, because I feel like we all can have like a few, and these are sustainably sourced from Ecuador. And then the healing wand, which is sage bundle. This comes from, I don't know exactly where the sage is from, but the entrepreneur, they have a farm in Arizona, and she makes it.
And is that like a little piece of selenite on the top?
This is a rose, I mean, not a rose, it's a quartz.
Clear quartz, okay, yeah. And
they have rose petals. This is just like sort of a mock.
Okay, gotcha. That's a nice piece of sage.
Yeah, well this, I can't remember where this one exactly came from, but hers are coming from Arizona. They have a farm there, and she makes like she has like tons of ceremonial herbs and stuff that she does.
I love it.
Then my Abnordin Mask, this was the OG, made of like GOTS organic cotton, and it's really thick. You know how the recommendation is like that you have like the thick and the double layer, and this is that, and it has a filter pocket, and it's just like clean and crisp, and you can wear it around your neck.
And it's adjustable. I have one.
Oh yeah, and that was, and also I was thinking like for people who already have this, it's like kind of need like a few. You kind of can't have too many masks these days because we don't know them. I've tie-dyed some of mine too, because it's just like for something different.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean, my kids like want to tie-dye constantly. I'm like, okay, all right. Because they like really got hit by the 2020 fashion stick, my kids. They're like, unicorns, rainbows, and tie-dye. And I'm like, okay.
Great.
Stuff, okay guys, it's been fun actually. So that's it. It's $75. The market value is like 100.
It launches on Sunday on your site?
Oh my God. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I want to thank you, Jenny, so much for being here. Can you please let everyone know your website and your IG handles so that they know where to find you?
Yes, my website is it's Av, but a lot of people say AV. So it's av-norden.com. And my Instagram is at Av_Norden.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your journey. I'm so excited to get this out there. This is such a rad episode. I had so much fun. I just felt like I was talking to my friend. It's great.
Oh, I know. I wish we would like have an hour and a half to talk. Anyway,
all the time, right?
Like doubled it, so that works.
Right. Well,
and all of your work too.
Oh, thank you. So for everyone tuning in, I will just remind you that you can find me on my website at www.erintheurbanmermaid.com or on Instagram at @erintheurbanmermaid. You could also email inquiries to @erintheurbanmermaid@gmail.com. So thank you everyone for tuning in and take care.